The lightweight division is up for grabs now. Well, who is the number one contender in the lightweight division is up for grabs anyway. I think things are up in the air in that division, especially following UFC 311 now. Islam Makhachev, dominant champion, cleaned out the division, 4 title defenses. Excellent fighter. He is worthy of moving up to 170 pounds, but he is blocked by Belal Muhammad, his friend, a training partner of his, someone that he greatly respects. I don't think he was going to go up to 170 to face Belal Muhammad. If Belal Muhammad loses, I think, to Shavkat Rakhmonov, whenever that fight is, I think we will see Islam Makhachev move up to 170 immediately. And I don't think that's something that we would be very upset about. I think that's something that we would support. I think we want to see Islam Makhachev at 170 pounds, get that second title, really cement himself as one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. But right now, he is blocked by Belal Muhammad. So if, let's say, Belal Muhammad beats Shavkat and everything, we're looking at what's next for Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division and what could be interesting. Arman Tsarukyan, on paper, is the best challenger for Islam Makhachev. However, Dana White said following UFC 311, Arman Tsarukyan has to go back to the drawing board. He doesn't seem thrilled with Arman Tsarukyan behind the scenes. The trouble that he's caused him following becoming the number one contender, turning down the fight at UFC 302, punching a fan, having a suspension. This fight couldn't happen in January because Arman Tsarukyan was suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for punching a fan in the stands. So definitely not ideal. Pulling out at the last minute due to a back injury. I don't think Dana White loves that. I think he wished that he pulled out sooner. They did put on a pretty good, last minute main event, having Money Makino step in, but it just wasn't enough. And maybe if they had more time, maybe Charles could have got in there. That would have been a lot more interesting. But Charles Oliveira is, the next in line to face Islam Makhachev, especially if Arman Tsarukyan's going back to the drawing board and they don't view him as reliable enough. Fair enough. Charles Oliveira is a great fighter. I would love to see Charles Oliveira get another title shot. I would love to see Charles Oliveira as champion again. He's my favorite UFC fighter of all time. Of course, I would love to see that fight. But not everyone agrees with me. The way UFC 280 played out, I think we would think Islam Makhachev is going to beat Charles Oliveira, 99 times out of 100. I think that's what most people would think following UFC 280. I'm not one of those people, and of course I am biased, but I think the best version of Charles Oliveira could give Islam Makhachev a lot of trouble. Think of how much trouble Dustin Poirier gave Islam Makhachev at UFC 302, and then think how, Charles Oliveira broke down Dustin Poirier when he was champion. The best version of Charles Oliveira, is a handful for anybody. I don't think UFC 280 was the best version of Charles Oliveira. So I think Charles Oliveira obviously, deserves a fight with Islam Makhachev. He's had some really good wins against Beneil Dariush and Michael Chandler to get back in that conversation. And he was such an awesome champion. But Ilia Topuria has an opportunity to, steal that fight from Charles Oliveira, I think. Ilia Topuria was the first person to call out Islam Makhachev. That's just kind of a super fight. Ilia Topuria is an awesome fighter. He has a similar background to Merab Dvalishvili with the Roman Greco wrestling. They grew up in Georgia. Topuria kind of grew up all around the world, but he has that Georgian wrestling background that Merab has that gave, Umar Nurmagomedov trouble. So I think it's reasonable to suspect maybe Ilia can give Islam Makhachev trouble. The thing is, we have not seen Ilia's wrestling at such, those elite levels yet. He's been such a good boxer, and he's such a powerful striker that we see Ilia more often than not just knocking guys out left and right in the UFC. And he knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. He knocked out Max Holloway. But this guy has an elite wrestling background. So maybe on paper, he's even more of a challenge, or as much of a challenge as Arman Tsarukyan is. But we want to see Ilia Topuria fight at 145 pounds. But what's that next fight he's going to get? He's going to get Volkanovski again? Do we really think Volkanovski can beat Ilia Topuria now? I don't think so. I don't think anyone's going to beat Ilia Topuria. at 145 pounds. Maybe we'd like to see him get another win or two and then face Islam Makhachev. Maybe he doesn't have the time. Ilia Topuria has stated that he wants to retire by the age of 30. He's 27 now. And he wants to be a 3-division champion in that time. So he wants to force the issue of fighting Islam Makhachev. Now, with Islam Makhachev kind of cleaning up the division, Arman Tsarukyan kind of ruining his opportunity to have a title fight, Charles Oliveira, is that a fight that everyone's excited about for him to face Islam Makhachev? I think a lot of people are. I think that fight would sell really well. But I think Ilia Topuria can really force the issue here. And, maybe it's not as exciting, but I think Ilia Topuria is just as exciting as an option as Charles Oliveira for this fight. And if Ilia Topuria is hell-bent as he seems to be to move up to the lightweight division, this is something that he can accomplish in 2025 and fight Islam Makhachev. I'm not excited for the Topuria-Volkanovski fight. Personally, I think we've seen it before. I think I'd be more excited to see Diego Lopez in that opportunity, and I don't think that's someone who Ilia Topuria would beat either. I don't think that's someone Ilia Topuria would lose to either. So I think Ilia's probably his toughest competition is Islam Makhachev, and I think Islam Makhachev's toughest competition could be Ilia Topuria. So I think that's the fight that they should make. Maybe that fight would be better over time, sure, but I don't know. Does Islam, time's not on this fight's side. Islam can move up to 170 next. Ilia, wants to retire at a young age. So I think, the time to make this fight is 2025. I think that's the year to make this fight. The time is now to make this fight, in my opinion. I think Oliveira will be next, but Ilia Topuria has a case to be the next person to face Islam Makhachev, because after Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan, if Tsarukyan's sidelined and they want him to go fight someone else, and Charles Oliveira, who pulled out of the rematch originally, if you remember, at UFC 295 against Makhachev, I believe it was, or around that time, that could have been the next fight, and it wasn't, So I think, I think it's reasonable to say that, Oliveira and Makhachev isn't as exciting as, for everybody as maybe the Tsarukyan and Makhachev was. So I think, Ilia Topuria has a really strong case here. And I think, he is a big enough star. I think he is good enough on the mic, and in the way that he plays the media to really drive the demand for this fight up for 2025. And I think this is a fight that we will see in 2025. I still think Oliveira is probably next, but Ilia has the opportunity to get the fight that he wants against Islam Makhachev, and he believes that he can beat Islam Makhachev. He was the first person to call out Islam Makhachev, and I think the more he does it, the more likely the media and fans want to see that fight. So I think Ilia Topuria has a really good case to get this fight to happen shortly. Let me know if you want to see Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev in the comments below. And thank you again for watching.